So now officially I made it to level 100, and with that there's a couple of changes to the build. If you haven't seen the previous video, I highly recommend watching that first because none of this will make any sense to you. So yeah, if you're new to this build, watch the previous one. It's probably linked in the description or in the pinned comment or something. So now I'm level 100. As you can see, my defenses are pretty good. My health is still pretty low. I'm still pretty squishy. So just downsides, it like straight away, I would not copy this build 1-to-1 if you're playing hardcore. I still die, and I still die somewhat frequently, not really in maps, but in boss fights. If there's a bad pattern and my crows die, that's actually one big thing that I will just say straight away. The higher you go, the more you will have to invest a little bit into minion health, because like a lot of AoE stuff will just one-shot them, and sometimes you can't even really avoid it because the the A movement with the minions is kind of clunky. So sometimes you will just they will just get hit. Okay, that's what's gonna happen. As you can see, I didn't even target this thing and they're already attacking. So it is what it is. I don't know. Like it can be very scuffed, and the reviving of companions is very scuffed too. But let's talk about what changed first. But first and foremost, the crow tree changed a little bit. I have only 2 points in Observe and Learn, and I have 0 points in Thunderstruck now, because with 6 crows, you don't really need more clear. By the way, at the very end is just a short monolith of what that looks like when you actually clearing monoliths. But yeah, so this is still the most important node, fulminating Caw, which is just an amazing node overall. And the important part is at the top with the important changes. The armor shred here is fucking incredible since we're stacking strength. This is just absolutely rocking the shit of any single target problem that you have. Also, this absolutely insane, like 180% more damage to the Stormcrows while you're attacking. And also this, I can still get another level, by the way, on the Stormcrows. I'm not fully maxed out yet. So you can get another 24% more damage just from this node, just from maxing it completely. But if your tree looks like this and your crows are level 27 with this maxed out, that's the most damage you can possibly do. And it's a lot of damage, as you saw earlier. Even tier 4 Julra that I attempted a little bit earlier, like, took a lot of damage. The only problem is the crows die and they cry. The crows die and they die a lot. Okay, so I'll just show you what my damage looks like now on a target dummy. I'm pretty sure target dummies don't even have any elemental resistances, so the damage is not gonna be fucking 500k per hit, okay, per crow. That's not what it's gonna look like, okay? Like 600,000 per crow per hit, that's not what it's gonna look like. But yeah, it's pretty strong, and overall, if you can have extended fights like that, is strong as well. And the clear is also fine, even at level 100. I'm currently doing around 205 corruption monoliths, which is fine. I think you can probably push it to around 300 with my setup, and if you have a little bit more defenses, maybe even further than that. It's definitely fine. Is it the best clear build? No. Is it the best single target build? Probably also no. But it's doing pretty fucking well. And if you can set it up well in single target situations, the crows will one-shot everything. Okay. Let's also talk about the skill tree, the maxed out skill tree. By the way, this entire thing, the entire like last Epoch tools link will be also somewhere in the description or whatever, right? Character of mine imported into it, so you know exactly what my character is. Okay. So yeah, here's the setup. Last time I didn't have the character imported and people were confused about that because I was just showing things for examples. But now you have my full character and you know what it looks like. So here, this entire tree is maxed out. Also, this health leech here is very important. Overall aspect of the links is just amazing for the crows. The only downside is you have to spam Crow Storm a lot. So, you know, keep in mind that basically every time it's off cooldown, you want to click Crow Storm. Okay. And obviously Shaman, which is kind of the tree that I added at the very end, which is actually super important. This one gives you 8 pen and attunement. Insane scaling, penetration in general is amazing. It has so much damage for single target. Increased minion damage because you know, you don't really have anything else. Also, maybe I should mention real quick that at this point my Tempest strike is basically not doing anything. So this node right here is quite useful, just basically to get shock up. You want as much shock on the target as possible, as quickly as possible, and that's kind of the only point this ability has at this point. Yeah, I don't really have mana issues anymore, even though I don't have mana regen or anything, so this is kind of a really nice setup to have. But yeah, my Tempest Strike doesn't really do much damage at all anymore. It's all about the Stormcrows. Yeah, this is Nico from the future editing the video. Obviously, you still spam Tempest Strike all the time to get the stacks, but damage-wise, it doesn't do anything anymore. And the Druid still looks like this, very simple, and the Beastmaster we just talked about. Yeah. Also, let's talk about my gear setup. We have Archer's Legacy with 2 things. Unfortunately, I didn't really want to strength on this, but I got it anyways. And the spell damage for Stormcrows could also be better, but it's also nice to have. Also, my Cleaver solution has increased lightning damage and lightning pen. Would also be a little bit better on that front, but you know, for a 2 legendary potential item, this is quite nice. My chest piece also could have +4 to Stormcrows, and then my Stormcrows would also hit much harder. My scepter is probably kind of weak right now. I haven't really changed that for a while. Could be a lot better with lightning pen or even more minion spell damage. Same with my necklace is also kind of a remnant of the past, but it's okay. And here, these ones are all just exalted lightning damage, strength, health items, you know? Nothing crazy. Actually, this one we have to talk about, though. The experimental mod here, and if you've played any other minion builds or watched minion build guides, you've probably seen this, teleports your minions with you when you use a traversal skill. This is incredibly important because the travel time for your minions actually makes them not attack, obviously. So just having that affix is incredibly important, and since you have 6 Stormcrows, you need at least a tier 5 mod of this. You can also get higher ones, obviously, but yeah, it's super important. It's also super important repositioning your minions as well. So it's not only important for damage, it improves your damage by quite a bit because it removes the delay between, oh, we're moving here, but it also is really nice to just reposition them. Like, it's amazing, especially in combination with Leap Slam that gives them frenzy and spell damage. They immediately attack, you know, when you're doing that. You just insta attack when you're Leap Slamming. Obviously I had to press A before that, otherwise they don't attack the dummy, but you get the point. It's a super important affix to have, and it just made the build a lot better. So I highly recommend you getting this trait. It's super important. And then here it's just a leech one. It's not, you can basically get anything here. It's not super important. Same with the idols, minion spell damage, minions lightning damage, minion lightning damage. I got an increased aspect of the Lynx one too. Doesn't do that much, but it's still useful. Health and minion spell damage, health, and so on. Like a very basic stuff, nothing complicated. So yeah, I would say maybe let's talk about really quickly what the problems are of the build now after I hit level 100 and did the corruption. Just very quickly, the biggest downside is that my character is quite squishy and I can definitely die relatively fast, but if you pay attention and you don't stand in AoEs or something, you basically never die. And your crows also, now that I have a little bit more increased health on the minions everywhere, barely ever die. Because in combination with being more tanky, I also spec more into critical bite, which makes them leech a lot of their damage back. So whenever they're critting, they're basically full HP again. So that's also very nice to have. Other than that, that's kind of the update. That is what my level 100 Stormcrow build looks like. It's quite nice. I had a lot of fun playing it, and it's also my very first level 100 character, actually. I highly recommend playing it. Super fun. It's obviously a little bit harder to make work on solo self-found because you definitely need this weapon and preferably also this hat. But it's not super specific, and there's definitely much harder uniques to get than these. So it's a nice build, and you can probably even improve it further, especially survivability-wise. But damage-wise, this build is quite optimized, and you will have no problems progressing through most of the game. At the very, very end game, again, as I said, like the highest level Jorah, for example, the companions dying on you becomes very annoying. But outside of that, I think you almost never have any problems unless you get one shot in a map by some random AoE that crits you or something. Although I do have crit avoidance, it's not 100%, so sometimes that happens. But yeah, I'm sure you can make this build even tankier than it is right now. Again, as I said, the last Epoch tools link with the full build is in the description. Let's talk about the loot filter real quick because people kept asking me. My loot filter is so bare bones, it's barely even worth talking about. I've hide all normal and magic items. At this point, I should also hide all yellow items, all rare items, but I was just too lazy to set it up. Also, this is kind of important, the recolor of these most important traits here, which is spell damage for Stormcrows and level of Stormcrows. So you can get those items on the floor, shatter them, get the shards and so on, and maybe even keep the item if it's good, right? And then I have the recolor for 3 affixes at the same time, which then shows some items that are a little bit more useful to me. Let's start at the top. Strength is still good, obviously because the cleaver solution, you want 50 strength. Spell stuff, although this doesn't even really matter that much anymore. Spell crit we can probably even get rid of. Here we have elemental, lightning damage, and lightning penetration. All 3 of those are very important. Critical strike, multiply, and crit chance. This doesn't even really matter either because it doesn't apply to your crows, so I will just remove that as well. Increased health, obviously resistances, movement speed, also cool. Ailments, we have chance to shock on hit, chance to shred armor on hit, and chance to apply frailty. All of these are not super high priority, but sometimes it might be nice to have. On Primalist, we have minion crit multi and minion spell crit chance, although the spell crit chance you probably don't really need. Spell damage for Stormcrows is amazing. Shared lightning damage is amazing. Shared spell increase is also good. And obviously level of Tempest strike is not super important at this stage, but you know, up until late game, level of Tempest strike is actually nice, and level of Stormcrows is also very important. That's basically it. I usually look through all of the idols like one by one. And again, this loot filter is nothing crazy at all. It's really bare bones. It's the most basic stuff. I'm also playing in Merchant Guild, so it's not that imperative to me to find the perfect items because I can just buy them, right? And just from farming, I have 5 million gold right now, so I'm not really starved for items or money. So yeah, my loot filter isn't great, but I hope that helped a little bit. Thanks for tuning in. Now there will be a quick 1 minute or something Monolith, so you see how this build looks like on a Monolith. And on Friday, hopefully we will have the 100-hour Lost Epoch review. So if you're still undecided, yeah, that video will be out by then. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a nice rest of your day. See you then. Peace.